Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel after such a long time. Okay, the first tournament of the year 2023, one of the strongest tournaments, an invitational one, and also not just the strongest but the youngest. Yeah, there are so many young participants here. We have Erigaisi, we have Bukesh, and the others. Okay, and one of the most anticipated match in this tournament would be Carlsen against Arjun Erigaisi. As we all know, last year Carlsen won Tata Steel Masters, and Erigaisi won Group B, the Challengers. That's why Erigaisi now is going for A after winning Group B last year. So it's going to be an exciting match, the up-and-coming Erigaisi against the Triple Crown champion, Magnus Carlsen, world champion in classical, rapid and blitz just a month ago. So let's check it out. Let's check out their last meeting. They haven't played any classical game yet. So this is going to be a real test for Erigaisi against Magnus. And also, speaking of preparation and experience, all eyes will be on this too. Okay, let's check out the last game that they played. They mostly played online during the pandemic. The only face-to-face, I guess, was this World Blitz Championship where both players agreed to a draw. Okay, in the last encounter online, Erigaisi started with knight f3, g6, d4. Although this is not classical, this was rapid. So the choices here, opening choice by Magnus, is different. He would go for some surprises. He goes for a perk, sometimes the hippopotamus. Anything you can play here in faster time control. And this is also online. h3, knight f6. Let's not focus on the opening here. This is typical Magnus, just minimal advantage and grind, yeah, grit and grind. Castles, rook d1, queen e7, everything normal. King h2, quite a surprising move, yeah. We normally see knight c3 here, developing move. Another way here is b3, trying to go for bishop a3 here to the rook. If let's say you go rook to d8, rook takes d8, queen takes d8, and this knight goes to d2 instead of c3. Yeah, I think this is preferable for white. But king h2, I'm not too sure about king. I'm not too sure about king h2. This move, king h2. Okay, bishop into e6, knight c3. Rook f d8, bishop e3. I don't know, it's a waste of tempo. a6, bishop takes. Okay, probably Erigaisi was already anticipating an endgame, so he went for this one. Takes. Knight into d5, rook a c8, queen into e3, bishop g5, b6, b5, knight b4, queen b6, nothing special yet. Queen into f3, h5. So knight into d5, queen e6, queen g3, c6. Okay, this is typical Magnus, yeah? Lowering the number of pieces. Simplification. Takes, not allowing the opponent to get any counterplay. Magnus actually goes into the opponent's weakness. Okay, young players like Erigaisi, they're very tactical. So Magnus keeps the pieces minimal. Now d4. Okay, we have the central pass pawn. Slightly better for black. White has to be precise to save a draw, but a win is very far from white here. Rook d7, a4. b4, a nice moment by Magnus. Magnus is always alert, not allowing the rook to get that open a file. C takes b4, rook c2, right? At the same time, opening the second rank. b5, rook takes f2. Rook into c1. Takes on b5, of course. If white, let's say, captures on a6, Magnus will just go rook takes b2 here. Okay. There's 2 pawns, you know, double pawns on the a file. So rook c1 takes and takes. Again, the double pawn. King g7. Rook into c6, queen e7. Takes, takes. Rook to b3, rook f6. Nice move. Just in time, rook. Right. King into g3, rook to d7. He has his own pass pawn as well, protected with the rook. Rook takes, rook queen takes, king into f2. King e6. All right, here's an important moment here. Right, in endgames, you'd like to have this nail, yeah, the pawn nail. I think Magnus has to play this first, nailing these 2 pawns. It's very critical later. Now let's continue. King e2, rook b7, same as what happened in the game, and then f6. But this time there's no g4. That's the main difference. Yeah. If you play b4, for example, this time I can go rook to d7. White is almost in zugzwang now, because you cannot play rook to d5. The rook will just capture it, and king takes on b6. Okay, I'll show you. Rook d5, rook takes d5, a takes d5, takes on b6. If you go b5, for example, you want to go for d6, right? At d3. That's it, because if king takes, king takes. So the important h4 over there. Yeah. Now, why was h4 important? Okay, I think this was the moment. I'll show you something. Look at what happened in the game. King e6, rook a3, rook to b7, rook a5, king, king c5, b6, king d6 to, of course, protect that pawn on e5, rook d5, king e6, f6. Okay, this is the point, the g4 push. Takes, takes. Now black doesn't have this extra pawn push. Yeah, you don't have any waiting move now. Yeah, no, it's fixed, fixed, fixed. Thanks to these 2 pawns. You only have 1 pawn, but it's guarded by the king. Okay, let's continue the game. King d6, king c4, king c6. Here, Irigaici made the last mistake with rook to b3. Okay, it's the lack of experience. That's why Magnus, against young players, he always tries to go into the endgame, because that's where the experience get into the picture, yeah? And that's where the edge comes. Look at this. Rook to b3 was a mistake. Here, b4 should hold for white. Okay, white is a pawn down after rook takes b6, but he has this active rook. What to do here for black? Nothing, yeah? Okay, let's say, for example, you sacrifice this pawn in d3. I just go rook d5. So it doesn't work. It could be better for white, by the way. And if you go back, for example, let's say b7, you don't want the rook to come in, b5. If you go rook to d6 and try to go for d3, for example, just rook a3. Everything is under control. But then, again, speaking of experience, rook to b3, okay, the lack of experience in these moments, especially the end game. Now rook takes b6. This is Magnus territory. Now king into c7, b4. This is different now. Rook c6, king b5, rook to d6. Now the rook becomes passive. Rook into a3, king b7. It's not needed, by the way. You can push d3 straight away. If it goes back, just go d2. If let's say rook to d1, just rook d4. Yep. Active rook against the passive rook. But anyways, Magnus played king b7. It's winning anyways. Okay, rook c6, king b6. Okay, again, speaking of experience, it's still not easy to win here for black when Magnus actually made a mistake with king b6. Here rook a1, waiting move. Maybe black could hold. Now let's take a look at okay, king b5. Yeah, let's say king b5. Take a look at king b5, rook a5. If you capture, for example, rook b5 check. Why? It is stalemate, but hard to find. You know, in faster time controls, maybe in a classical game you'll find this one last trick for white. Okay, but here Arigaisi thought that he could play the move rook a6, yeah? Takes, and his active king, yeah, and the pass pawn, but Magnus has king a7, king a6, just to gain time, I guess. Push, king a5, d2, both queens. But then again, the one who promotes first usually wins the game. Yeah. Okay, here it could have been better if Magnus played queen d3, restricting the queen, the check on b5, and also shield to the king to b4 in here. Of course, at the same time attacking that pawn on e4. Okay, king a4, queen b5. Queen d5, again the lack of experience. This is now a transformation from a rook endgame into the queen endgame. Queen a5 could hold, I guess, if let's say you go king to b2, queen b4. Yes, queen to b3. Imagine this, queen to b3, you can take the queen, take queen, king d5. If let's say king c3, king e6, yes? You go king d3 for example, king takes f6, king takes e4, king takes g5, and both pawns will promote. If you go king f3, I go king f6 for example, you go e4, g5, e3, g3, e2, g2, and promote. It's a draw. But then again, it's not easy when you're facing a world champion. Yeah? There's too much respect. Sometimes maybe it's more of psychology that you think that this guy doesn't make any mistake, yeah? Especially in his territory, the end game. And also with less time. And you see that you're a pawn down, yeah? So you lose hope. But it could have been a draw. Alright, this mistake, queen takes here, it's game over. Okay, because the queen holds this square. So no queen d1 check. Alright, king d2 takes. It's game over. Queen f4. Okay, you will run out of checks here if let's say you go queen c2 and just e2. If you go here, queen c5 check doesn't work, just king e3. Normally in queen end games, in queen and pawn end games, you block a check with another check. That's the typical way to win in the queen end game. So this was more or less in terms of experience. That's why Magnus won over Arjun. But Arjun couldn't be denied also. In one of the games, I think this is the only game that he won against Magnus after like 9 out of 10, 90% for Magnus, yeah? But still the same line. Okay, sorry. Hey, let's do the white side here. Arjun was white still. Again, knowing Magnus, in the rapid or blitz, he tries to go for this hippopotamus setup, yeah? Castles queen side, 94, a5, h6, f3, g4. Again, young players, they're very energetic. They're not afraid. Knight f4, king b1, bishop b7. So we are expecting Magnus in their classical match to go solid. Knight e2, d5, knight g3, queen e1, bishop into c1, rook into h2. Here also, white could go for takes on d5 if, let's say, pawn takes on d5 and then h5. Because if you go here, there's knight f5. That could have been decisive. But rook h2, complicated game. Castles, queen side e5, queen b6, c3, knight c6, king into a1, a4. This is, of course, the nature of the Hippo here. Knight d3, bishop f8. It's anybody's game. f4, bishop a6, f5 takes and takes. King into d7. Not too sure about king d7 with Magnus here. He could have played knight 6 a5 here. But this is very messy. This is very messy. So king d7 takes. Queen f2, very Lionel. Queen f7 check, bishop e7, knight c5, king to d8, queen takes g6. Arjun protects the b1 square, so that's awareness. Knight takes e5, knight takes e6, king d7 takes e5, queen takes e6. Again, Magnus is playing into Arjun style, yeah? The youthfulness. Yeah? A very energetic chess. Arjun would be happy to play Magnus here any day with this kind of positions, yeah? Takes, takes. I'm pretty sure in the classical game, Magnus would grind it out, yeah? The small edge. Same as the first game. So takes, e6, bishop into d3, takes, rook b4, h3, rook takes a3, white comes out on top. Of course, we have the connected pass pawns. Bishop f4, takes, check, simplify. The principle of two weaknesses, another pass pawn outside here. The bishop cannot stop. g5, king c3, g6, g7, bishop e5, and then h5. Unstoppable. If you go, let's say, king to g8, the other pawn. Okay, let's say you stay. All right, a5, you just stay there. a6, you just stay there. a7, you go king g8. Yes, okay, h6. King to h7. Now we cannot take this one because either of these pawns will promote. So I can play bishop to d6 and takes on c5. Now I have a space for the king. Right, this is a space. Now your bishop has to move. Okay, for example, here bishop stays here, and I would take. Then the king can go here and promote the pawn. Okay, so opposite. They're the total opposite. Arjun, the dynamic player. Of course, young Magnus, the more experienced man, the world champion, known to play simple, all right, simple grind chess. So it's gonna be exciting. Okay, round number 1 of the Tata Steel tournament will start tomorrow at 5 p.m. Dubai time. That's 4 hours difference, so that's around 9 p.m. Manila time. So it's going to be an exciting tournament. Okay, one of the strongest invitational tournaments in the world. Okay, the first strongest tournament this year, 2023, the year of the rabbit. So that's it, guys. We will continue our coverage of the Tata Steel Masters 2023. And also, thank you for subscribing to Charles Max Chess. Please continue to support our channel, Charles Max Chess and Charles Max Entertainment on Facebook and also on YouTube. This is Coach Oliver once again. I'll see you around. Bye-bye.